Hey, I'm Sam Lesson. I'm one of the co-founders of Fin, and today I wanted to talk a little bit with you about the human side of Fin. So at Fin, we're building an assistant. We believe everyone in the world should have an amazing assistant to help them live better and get more done. And we accomplish this with a hybrid approach. We use machines and computers for parts of the process that are really great for machines and computers, and we have an incredible operations team that helps with the human side of the empathy, the research, the hard parts of getting things done in a lot of ways. And people frequently ask us, they're like, that's really cool, like when are you going to replace all the people with machines? And we're like, we understand why that's a reasonable question. Lots of Silicon Valley companies think that way. We don't. Our job is to make people incredible at what they do. Fundamentally putting people in the most leveraged position possible with awesome technology, where we're not trying to get rid of the people, we're trying to bring more awesome people in to help us grow our service. So reasonable question is like, what do the people at Fin actually do? Like, what is the role? And there's basically three key components. The first, which is obvious and by far the most important, is we serve people. That requires a ton of empathy and caring, doing all these great human things like making logical leaps for people that a human might be really great at, a person's awesome at, but machines are pretty terrible at. Doing interesting research, getting things done, interacting with the real world. So that's kind of the first and most important part. The second part of the job, which is critical, is to actually teach the Fin system. And that basically takes the form of both building out our knowledge base. We kind of have an internal private Wikipedia-esque model that we're building so that we get smarter and smarter as a team and a community at serving people better. There's also a lot, kind of an element of almost programming that goes on, where we program kind of preferences, and we have a scripting language almost that we use internally to help, again, improve the system over time. So that's the second part. And then the third part of the job is actually to give feedback on the tech and tools. We're almost 2 years into doing this and building a lot of great technology, which is, we're still pretty early in terms of figuring all this stuff out. So we have a lot of cool stuff figured out, but we're constantly evolving our tools. So we need really great people who not only are really great at being service-oriented and empathetic and smart and intelligent and excited to get things done and help people, but also people who want to be along for that journey of that tool evolution, so that things are changing pretty frequently as we change how we do things and the tech that supports it. So if that's kind of what we do, there's then the question of like, what are the principles that we operate under? And we have a bunch of internal principles that we hold pretty dear. The ones that might be relevant here, most relevant, are first, we really believe that everyone can benefit from help, and that both means for our users, but it also means our internal culture of how we operate. And that help might come from the engineering team building tools for the operations team. It might come from one ops experienced person to another, but that is kind of one of the most important principles for us. A second thing you should know is we really believe in this concept of always knowing your goals. We kind of believe if you can't measure it, then you can't improve against it. And so we measure everything. We're really focused on that. That's how we get better as a team in general. And it's not meant to be, just like a myopic thing of just one person here or there. It's like saying, okay, we each need to understand our personal goals and like what we can do to improve them, and then who's crushing something so you can go learn from them. Things like that. But goals and metrics are really important to us. I kind of feel like if you can't articulate a numbered goal, then you probably don't understand the problem well enough. It's something I've learned in my career over time. We believe in always being collaborative. Probably something there's a lot of lip service to in the world, not something that no one will say, we're not going to be collaborative. We really, really deeply mean that. And that means in terms of being collaborative, it's, everyone has their own personal goals, but a team is stronger than an individual, and so actually working to improve the team, helping a colleague or things like that is something we take really seriously and culturally as a value. We believe in always being in a state of improving. So just being great at what you do is really insufficient, right? The world continues to get better and change in interesting ways, and I think you both have to be really great at what you do and be in a position where you're always improving. In order to really deliver on, life is short, we should be always in a framework of doing our best work, but setting it up in a way that will allow us to do better tomorrow. I guess the last one that I'll mention that's probably really critical to keep in mind as well is this idea of like celebrating service. So I really think there's no higher calling than like using the skills you have and the talents you have to be able to help other people do more with their lives and get more done. And that means professionally, like an engineer might be able to help out by building a system which gives leverage to a bunch of people on an operations team. that means, as a person saying if there's an opportunity to help someone get something done, if it might be small, it might be, finding a new restaurant and booking it for them. It might be, planning some travel or figuring something out they couldn't figure out on their own or didn't have time to because they were stuck with their own job. But really, you can think of this as like different stances, but we really, really fundamentally believe that like this is a great thing to do, an important thing to do. We want to set people up to do it better and not just think that like, oh, service is something just for machines. Like, no, this is the core of our economy, and the core of what we do is helping each other in various ways. So there's a lot more context and depth here, and we're going to probably create more content explaining what the job is and things like that. But fundamentally, we're growing as a team, things are going well, and the next step is growing our ops team a lot. So if this is at all appealing, we've written some stuff about this. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks.